lineup for Marconi. Number 1, James Hilton. Number 2, Tyra Burney. Number 3, Cameron Winter. Number 5, Lachlan Griffith. Number 6, Dominic Costanzo. Number 8, James Bayless. Number 10, our captain, Marco Yesic. Number 14, Jake True. Number 18, George Daniel. Number 23, Brandon Vella. And number 24, Marquez Busiek. Substitutions for Marconi. Number 11, Miroslav Popovic. Number 12, Julian Mons. Number 15, Gerard Rezai. Number 16, Liam Yulee. Number 20, Patrick Williams. And number 22, Alexander Gojanovic. The starting lineup for the Central Coast Mariners. Number 1, Adam Pavlicic. Number 2, Luka Pecora. Number 4, Rocco Smith. Number 5, Ben Hewitt. Number 11, Jai Rose. Number 13, Logan Sandbrook. Number 14, Angus Reid. Number 15, Freddie Clunas. Number 19, Prayan Sapper. Number 21, Njinja Ndota. And number 39, Harper Ryle. Substitution for Central Coast, number 6, Jordan Small. Number 12, Ty McKibben. Number 17, Jesse Mantell. Number 38, Callum McCarthy. Number 31, Dean Sadler. And number 40, Joel Wade. Marconi Stallions acknowledges and appreciates the support of 2025 sponsors. Brian's Lawyers. Need expert legal advice? That's what they do. Strasbourg Refrigeration. Alert Construction. Peter Warren Ford. Legia and Marker Football. 2025 Marconi Stallions home jersey is now available for purchase at the ticket gate, and a limited quantity of our 2025 merchandise is also available at discounted prices from Marconi Reception. Join us in making a difference. Club Marconi and Vinnie's are hosting a community car sleep out on Friday, the 13th of June, to support those experiencing homelessness in our community. Scan the QR code around the stadium or visit our website to donate or sign up. Every contribution counts. The Football New South Wales International Premier League competition is proudly sponsored by MITA, official match ball of the New South Wales NPL. Attendees are reminded they are bound by the Football Australia Spectator Code of Behaviour together with the terms of admission of this venue, and any breaches may result in disciplinary action and sanctions.
Yes, good evening, and it is a very, very warm welcome indeed to the Palace here in Bosley Park, Marconi Stadium, as we look to conclude round 11 of the New South Wales National Premier League men's competition. It's a bit of a David and Goliath battle this evening. It is first plays last. It is, of course, the undefeated Marconi Stallions playing host to the Central Coast Mariners Academy. Pete Pryor with you to take you through all the action as it unfolds, live and exclusive to the Football New South Wales YouTube pages. An absolute pleasure to have your company, as it always is, wherever it is in the world you may be watching from. The team news is in, a bit of it to get through, of course. Starting for the Marconi Stallions, a couple of changes this evening for Peter Sekenis' side. In goal, though, the ever-present James Hilton. Number 2, Tyron Burney. Number 3, Cam Windust returns to the starting 11 this week. The 5, Lachlan Griffiths. 6, Dom Costanzo. 8, James Bayliss. 10 and captain, of course, Marko Jesic. 14, Jake True. 18, George Daniel. 23, Brandon Vella. And 24, Mate Bulsek. Number of those names, of course, may well sound familiar to those of you of the Mariners' persuasion. By my count, 4 of those graduating from the Mariners Academy at some point over the last 3 or 4 years. For the Mariners Academy this evening, wholesale changes required for Lucas Valela's side, with a number of players unavailable due to injury, suspension, and of course being called up for A-League duty. No Bailey Brantman, Arthur DeLima or Lucas Scicluna this evening. So it is a bit of a new look starting 11 for the Yellow and Navy, the side from the coast. Starting in goal, of course, Adam Pavlesic. The 2, Luca Pecora. The 4, Rocco Smith. 5, Ben Mewitz. 11, Jai Rose. 13, Logan Sandbrook making his return from Joey's duty. 14, Angus Reid. 15, Freddie Clunas. 19, Prayag Thapa, who continues his return from a series of hamstring injuries. Leading the line this evening, the 21, Maginga Mpota. And 17-year-old Harper Riles. The whistle blows, and away we go here at the Palace as we look to conclude round 11. Marconi in there. All blue strip this evening. Here is Windust. As we said at the top of the broadcast, Marconi coming into this one undefeated so far in season 2025. They are the reigning champions as well, after their grand final victory over Rockdale in 2024. What a performance that was as well from Peter Sekenis' side. The Mariners stayed up by virtue of the Pro-Rel playoff, getting it done in the second leg over fellow Academy side, Bulls FC. Here's Mpota. All the way back to Pavlesic. Well, he's got a bit of a puzzle to figure out here as well. Does well enough, and Rocco Smith immediately pressed by Bayliss. Sliding challenge, falls at the feet of Jesic. Initial shot is blocked and then claimed. After all, the sting was out of it by Pavlesic. Here's Pecora, who's been just about ever present at right back for the Mariners this season since that switch up from the Bulls Academy. He did take part in that two-legged Pro-Rel playoff. Marconi tonight have a great chance to put a bit of breathing room as well between them and the chasing pack. As good a chance as any this is. Rocco Smith giving Clunas something to chase, and Clunas is Bundled off it, legally so, says referee Hayden Langholz. George Daniel linking up with his former Mariner teammate in Windust. Working the patterns nicely here. Slide rule ball in behind for Jesic, who is marshalled all the way. That's expert defending from Ben Mewett, who himself has been just about ever present on the left side of that back four for the Mariners so far this season. Dare say he will probably have his hands full tonight. Angus Reid. I need to check my notes on this, but I believe it's his starting debut for the first grade side at centre half alongside Rocco Smith. No Michael Paragali, of course, on A-League duty tomorrow for the Mariners as they face MacArthur up on the Central Coast. Those others called up for A-League duty, as we said, Lucas Shikluna, Bailey Brandman, Arthur DeLima. No Lawrence Taylor tonight for the Mariners, sitting out his suspension after his red card against Sydney FC last week. That's a good-looking challenge from Clunas. And I'll tell you what, matched by an even better one by Cam Windust to take it away from Mpota. Final touch is off Cam Windust. Pecora to take the throw just about in front of us here from our broadcast position. Mariners forced backwards to Reid, and now Freddie Clunas outside of the football is a handy looking one as well, you know. Slaloming inside here is Rose. Fizz towards the edge of the area towards Riles, but couldn't quite bring it under his spell. 17-year-old Harper Riles tasked with leading the line tonight for the Mariners alongside Maginga and Mpota. Was selected for the Australian schoolboys side in the pre-season. Here's Pecora driving inside. Give and go with Mpota. Still Pecora. Couldn't quite dig it out from under his feet though at the end. The chance breaks down. Smith. Reid. Good use of the body. Little shimmy to take him away from True. And then handy looking crossfield diagonal, giving Jai Rose something to chase. Tyron Burney arrives first on the scene. Puts it out into touch on the far touch line. Jai Rose weaving, twisting and turning and finding Mewitts in support. Rose again. Flowing blonde locks of Jai Rose, swings to cross in. Bit of a miscued clearance, and Hilton gets there at the second bite. Decent looking release this from James Hilton as well. It's Costanzo. Just opts to go back and play safe and reload through Windust. Griffiths will switch the point of attack to the right-hand side for Burney. Off-season acquisition from Blacktown City, of course, Tyron Burney. Wonderful outlets on the right-hand side, he is. Bushek. Cross towards the penalty spot, only half cleared. Pavlicic down smartly to smother the follow-up attempts from Jake True. Short goal kick, as is the usual modus operandi, and, well, brave or foolhardy, I'll let you decide. Pavlesic seemed like he may have taken one touch too many, gets away with it in the end. Hard in mouth stuff at times from the Mariners, who do play their way out from the back more often than not. Has caused them a couple of headaches over the years, but if they are able to break the first line of the press, more power to them. Smith stepping in ahead of True and then takes it away from Vella. Here's Mewett and Angus Reid now. Highly rated centre half is Angus Reid, of course. Good turn from Pecora to take him away from Costanzo, and now he's got some open space to move into, and the ball at the end of it was not what was required from the Mariners right back, just too far ahead of Logan Sambrook. Not quite on the same wavelength just yet, those two. As we said at the top of the broadcast, Marconi with a very good chance this evening to put some further distance between them and the chasing pack. Earlier today, Spirits FC were in action at Belmore against Sydney Olympic. And a great result for Sydney Olympic, turning over Spirits FC, who went through the opening 9 rounds undefeated themselves. But they fell last week, and they've fallen again this week by 3-0. A chance for Marconi to perhaps go 6 clear tonight. Conversely, the Mariners find themselves 3 points away from relative safety. If they can snatch something out of tonight, it would certainly be a famous victory. Here's Clunas. Tupper, who spent the last few weeks in the under-20 side, regaining full fitness after, as we said, that series of hamstring injuries. Swung in by Mewett to the head of Harper Riles. Comfortable enough take for the Marconi Gloveman at the end of it. Harper Riles, though, towering above just about all and sundry in the middle of the 6-yard box. Mariners quick to get numbers back behind the ball, as they would probably be well advised to do. Bayliss digs it out. Now Burney. Forced back to Griffiths. And Potter applying the half press on Windust. George Daniel just running out of room. Well, or has he? Well, no, indeed. And the ball is fizzed up towards our broadcast position here by Adam Pavlesic. Referee had his whistle to his mouth initially. No signal from the linesman on this near touch line in any case, who definitely had a very good vantage point. This time it will be played straight out into touch. Jesic shakes his head and walks away, unhappy with his touch there, and immediately just gets on with it, putting Reid under some pressure. Mariners forced to just go long in the end, but they can't get it out of their own half at the moment. Here's Griffiths. Now Burney. Bushek has made a run into the pocket there. Burney just opts to go back to Griffiths. James Bayliss thought about the big crossfield switch, instead just links up with his ex-Mariners teammate in Windust, and then another ex-Mariner in George Daniel. True couldn't retain possession. Falls kindly for Tupper. Smith and Reid. Good touch from Pecora to take him away from George Daniel as well. Sliding challenge from Griffiths will halt that move, though. Clipped forward by Pavlesic. Sandbrook rising ahead of Daniel. Another sliding challenge from Cam Windust, who is an absolute colossus at the back. Halting any potential advance from Mpota. It's going to be a fascinating battle between Mpota and Cam Windust tonight, that's for sure. Two big units, two good footballers. Here they are again tussling. Mpota, good use of the body against Cam Windust, but unable to advance any further up the pitch. Reid. It's a bit of an aimless ball forwards. Didn't really have any other sort of options there, did Angus Reid. Marconi's turn to try and play their way out of the back. And it's worked out for them in a roundabout sort of way. Only momentarily, though. Ball forward was intended for Jesic. Couldn't quite pick him out, but they might get a second go at it here. Bayless. Bushek has a couple to aim for in the middle. Driven straight into the legs of Angus Reid. Fizzed in again towards Jake True this time. Cleared comfortably enough, but Mpota unable to link up with her teammates. Retrieved by Costanzo with a raking crossfield ball. Lovely ball across the face. Well, in towards the near post, I should say. For Jesic, who just tried to turn it around the corner. Mariners' defence almost unlocked by the wonderful tactician or technician, I should say, that is Dom Costanzo. That raking crossfield ball to find Bushek. Costanzo again just hooks it over his shoulder this time in the direction of Jesic, who is found offside. Just about a full slate of games today. On your Easter Saturday, of course. Earlier today, as we said, Sydney Olympic getting the better of Spirit FC by 3-0. Sutherland also went down by 3-0 against St George City. Mount Druitt succumbing to Blacktown City by 3-2. Action underway elsewhere as well around the grounds at Rockdale. They face the Wanderers Academy. And there's just been a goal in the St George Sydney United game. Sydney United currently lead by 1-0 there. Our focus, of course, remains firmly here at the Palace, with Marconi bursting into the area, looping ball towards Jesic, and then Costanzo's follow-up effort is driven straight into the body of Luca Pecora. Stallions with the chance to create a bit of mayhem from the set piece. It will be the in-swinging right boot of Dom Costanzo to deliver. Towards the back post, Windust is rising. Just lost it momentarily. It's a wicked teasing delivery that from Dom Costanzo. We've seen over the years, not just at Marconi, but also at the Mariners, how deadly Cam Windust can be in that sort of situation. Just lurking around the back post. Chance to launch a long throw in here as well. Big Timbers stayed forwards, one of who is Windust, who will rise for this one. And then Griffiths, who nods it forwards. And then it's a, well, skewed clearance from Rocco Smith. Just came off his shin, really. And the Stallions again with the set-piece opportunity from the corner on this near touchline. Referee Hayden Langholz has a bit of sorting out to do, plenty of dancing around in the area. It's a bit early for the disco. Costanzo again, this time near post. Well, apologies if any of that language came through, but I'm sure you can probably hear what Tom Costanzo thought of that delivery. Rising again, Windust, chested down by Costanzo. He'll get the return pass as well. Now it's James Bayliss. True, who's drifted into a wide area, wants to isolate Pecora here. Cross is driven straight into the legs of Pecora. Final touch. Well, in spite of the protests of those in Azzurri Blue, which continue, just a goal kick at the end of it. Costanzo only finds Freddie Clunas. Bayliss. That one looked a little more cut and dry. Certainly a Mariners throw on that occasion. Final touch off the underside of the boot, just scraping the studs of Jimmy Bayliss on the way through. Hoisted in by Pecora, flicked on by Sambrook. Tapper buzzing around, being a nuisance, and excellent use of the body and good strength from the Mariners' central midfielder, Prayag Tapper. Lucas Vallela will be very happy to be able to welcome him back to the engine room of that Mariners midfield, particularly in the absence of Lucas Scicluna. George Daniel stealing a few yards from the throw-in. We'll get the ball back as well here, Daniel, and does well to contend with the challenge of Mpota. Marconi wants a handball, which won't be forthcoming. Costanzo. Mariners just trying to crowd in the left midfielder. Done well enough to force him back to Windust. Now Griffiths will allow both teams to just get their shape back. Brandon Vella all the way back to James Hilton, who, well, I can't tell if he was pleased or not about that. Body language, interesting. Clipped forward. How's the touch from Marko Jesic? That's experience. Not a bad looking ball as well if Costanzo can get there. Pecora gets there just ahead of him. Mariners can't afford to give someone like Marko Jesic that much space, that much time, anywhere near the final third. Got away with it though. Momentum certainly in favour of the home side. Here's Costanzo. Hung up towards the back stick. Should be a fairly regulation take for Pavlicic, and is. If you are just joining us, of course, on the Football New South Wales YouTube channels, here at the Palace, just about halfway through the opening stanza. Neither side able to really quite hijack this one as yet, as Sambrook wants to bring this down. Final touch is off George Daniel, and you can probably hear just what he thinks of that as well. First Mariners corner of the evening, though, is the result. Jai Rose across to take. I'll look to swing this one away from James Hilton. Or will he go short? He does indeed go short. A variation on the corner here. One off the training ground is Clunas, who's crossed his block, but it falls kindly at the edge of the area for Sambrook. And it took a wicked deflection on the way through and behind for a second Mariners corner in quick succession. As we said, Sambrook, one of those who was involved in the under-17s. Joey set up recently alongside Hayne Eames and Jaya Janovic. Another one who Vallela will be very happy to welcome back. In swinging delivery this time from Rose. It's deep. It's all too deep from the Mariners' perspective. So Mariners turn to try and press Marconi as they look to play their way out from the back. They make it as far as halfway. Yesic couldn't bring it under his spell though. Pecora now has a couple of yards to assess the situation. In turn, skipping away from True. Now Tupper. All the way back to Angus Reid. Ben Mewitz. Pressed by Bushek. They play their way through comfortably enough. Only momentarily though. Marconi with a chance to race forward on the counter, and well, that's a fairly cynical looking foul. Bit of gamesmanship perhaps. Just halting the potential counter-attack of Marconi was Freddie Clunas. Marconi keen to get things back underway. Bernie. George Daniel is pleading for the switch of play on this near touch line. Instead it's Bushek. Just running into an avenue where there was no space afforded to him. He'll have the throw though. Marconi, once again, forced all the way back to Griffiths, who needs to keep the ball moving and does so. Windust, Daniel, Costanzo immediately. Luca Pecora is touch tight to him. He's got his head on a swivel at the moment, Pecora. As he will probably need to do, contending with, as we said, George Daniel, who does love to get forwards, and Don Costanzo. Hilton this time going long, looking to release Yesic. Bushek is also herring after that one. In fact, my apologies, that might have been Tyron Burney. Some speed to get it that quickly up the pitch from right back. As a result, leaving me second-guessing myself as to whether that was in fact Bushek or Burney, but yes, it was indeed Burney. Impressive. Here he is again. As Marconi looks to try and work the angle from the cross. Unable to fashion anything, and Jai Rose has done ever so well there, in fact, to when he signed the free kick at the end of it as well. Very interesting sort of feel to this one at the moment. Of course, the Mariners themselves, they don't really have anything to lose by going after this. Marconi will be desperate to maintain that undefeated streak. Take it to 11 games. It's a weird sort of tension in the air here in Bosley Park. Marconi goal would absolutely shatter that tension, I'm sure. Both sides have had their half chances. nothing really all too clear-cut as yet. It's Jake True still questioning referee Hayden Langholz as to why the free kick was not forthcoming after the challenge from Smith. That's well played from Mposa and good strength from Freddie Clunas to ride the challenge. Couldn't quite stick the pass though. It was sort of halfway between Sambrook and Riles. Costanzo. Jasic. Again has Angus Reid absolutely touched tight, and now Smith's in a foot race with True. True gets there first and pulls it into the area. It's Bushek. Back towards the edge of the area, it's Bayliss. Just drags it. Prayag Tapper diving in desperately to try and block the effort from James Bayliss. I think he's done just about enough there as well. Looks like the final touch was indeed off the Mariners midfielder. That was just about as close as the Stallions have come so far in this one. Yeah, just getting a look at the replay, actually, the final touch was... Well, it took two touches on the way through. The first one was off Tapper. Bayliss will take the corner that he's just won, swinging this one in towards the back post. Rising and cleared off the line in the end by Luca Pecora. Last-ditch stuff. The Mariners riding their luck as it swung in again towards the penalty spot. Pops out as far as Bushek. Tangles with Clunas. Pops out now in favour of the Stallions. George Daniel is offering support and makes the underlapping run and might just receive it here, you know. Costanzo will have it back. Measuring the cross towards the back post. Repelled once again. The Mariners survived by the skin of their teeth just about. Reid, his ball up the line. Unable to find a teammate. Hoisted back in towards the edge of the area. Nodded down to the Mariners centre half, Rocco Smith. His ball only finds George Daniel though. George Daniel now slaloming into the area. George Daniel! His first goal for the Stallions. And it was just about written in the script, wasn't it? Against his former side here at the Palace. George Daniel opens the scoring here. He started every game this season. And now has a goal to show for it. His last goal, in fact, was for the Central Coast Mariners at this venue in the final game of the 2023 season. That famous 5-4 victory for the Stallions. He's flipped the script on that one. And now scored for the first time for his new club. You can't say it hasn't been coming. Here he is again, George Daniel. Costanzo, and again, Pecora touch tight. Pecora wanted the throw in and perhaps spent too much time protesting the decision to get back, leaving Rocco Smith to cover for him. Windus, Griffiths. Well, that has certainly broken the tension here. Bushek, True, couldn't quite burst through. Clunas is bundled off it rather unceremoniously. Nothing doing, says the referee. Here's Costanzo, though. Again, trying to trick his way into the area. Pecora is defended resolutely and effectively. The Mariners penned into their own half here, though. Here's Bayliss. One-on-one, trying to go around the outside of Sambrook. Both got a fistful of each other's shirts there. Opts to reload through George Daniel, who swings this one in. It was teasing, it was tantalising. True just couldn't quite reach it. Griffiths. Now, Bernie. Stallions just happy to play keep ball and try and find an avenue forward. Bayliss. True, something cooking perhaps here for the Stallions. Jesic. His advance is halted effectively by Mewett, who felt he had his heels clipped. Referee again says nothing doing. It could work out very favourably here for Bushek. Juggles his way into the area. Taken off his toe at the very last available opportunity by Smith. And Reed. Here they come again, though, the Stallions. In-swinging ball from Costanzo. Falls for Bushek, who tried the audacious. The Canberra product, of course, Mate Bushek. Spent a bit of time on the Central Coast himself. Wouldn't he dearly love a goal tonight himself? Already had one former Mariner on the score sheet. He is the difference so far, George Daniel. Mewett striding forwards. Able to evade the attention of a couple of Stallions, but not for long. Bayliss couldn't quite retain possession. Now the Mariners with a chance to get their foot on the ball here. Clunas and Reed. Rocco Smith striding forward from centre back, and then a cheeky little back heel for good measure as well to find Tupper. It's the Mariners' turn to try and string a few passes together and see if they can crack what has been so far an uncrackable Marconi defence. Had a couple of half chances from corners. Nothing really to write home about so far for the Mariners. Still about 10 or so minutes to go here until the interval at Marconi Stadium. That's a loose pass from Clunas. Brendan Vella able to steal in, and he's done well to keep it in play. The cross flashing across the face. Marko Jesic prodding at it. Couldn't quite get the connection required to poke it home and double the Stallions' advantage. Might get another chance here. It's a bit frenetic and chaotic on the edge of the area. Breaks kindly for Jai Rose in the end, though. Opts to go the Central Avenue in the direction of Sambrook. George Daniel happy to just watch it all the way back to his gloveman. Again, it's that raking crossfield ball for Costanzo. Pecora takes it off his toe, and Pecora will have it back on this near touch line. That is absolutely bodied just in front of us here by Brandon Vella. He shakes his head as he walks off and says, hey, it's a footballing challenge. Luca Pecora might not necessarily agree with that. Rocco Smith into the half space in the direction of Mpota. Well, Mpota's quick, but he's not quite that quick. He won't be able to pick up on that. It's bread and butter stuff for James Hilton. Awkward bouncing ball up into the face of Mewett, who will in turn be forced to turn that one into touch. Hasn't necessarily been a vintage Stallions performance so far in this one. Of course they do have the advantage courtesy of George Daniel. I'm certainly not accusing them of going through the motions. I'd say, if anything, it's a professional, well-drilled performance from the 2024 champions, who sit quite convincingly as it stands, 6 points clear atop the ladder. Here's Jesic just dropping off the line and able to open up the point of attack on the far touchline in towards Jake True, bouncing around everywhere. And True is pinged for the foul on Angus Reid. Seemed to be that referee Hayden Langholz was just suggesting that the arm was raised from Jake True as he looked to get some extra elevation. I'm just having a quick look at the replay, actually. It looks like he may have just clipped the heels of the Mariners centre half. A chance for all players, of course, to have a quick breather, get some fluids in, get some further instructions as we tick towards the final 5 minutes of the first half here at the Palace. We can bring you some updates from elsewhere as well. It's all going on at Illingdon Sports Centre. Rockdale currently lead the Wanderers by 4-0. Ali Oglar, the former Wanderer himself, has notched up a hat-trick inside 33 minutes there. And guess who scored the other? No points for guessing correctly. Of course, it's Alek Urushevsky. 2-2 between Sydney United and St George. Sydney United raced out to a 2-0 lead before being pegged back by Justin Poon and by Antonio. And there's just been a red card in that one as well. But for who? Well, it's Carlos de Oliveira for Sydney United, who will be forced to play out the rest of that one with just 10. Don't you dare go anywhere, though, of course. Our focus remains firmly here at Marconi Stadium, where a George Daniel goal is the difference between the Marconi Stallions and the Mariners Academy. Vela. No options available in front, or unhappy with what was presented to him. So goes back to Griffiths, and now Burney. Unable to turn. Griffiths looking to release Jesic. The flag is up immediately, much to the chagrin of many of those in Atzuru Blue. In all fairness, looks like he might have just gone a fraction of a second early there, Marko Jesic. Shows no signs of slowing down. The Stallions captain, of course, 35 years old now. Good-looking reverse pass this from Pecora to link up with Riles. Pecora! Great save from Hilton. It was fair and true, just about straight at him, but pure reactions, pure reflex from the 22-year-old gloveman. Whose first grade start was in fact against the Mariners. That one proved to be a more profitable venture for the Central Coast, and this one is turning out so far. That one was up in Plume Park in 2023. A Miguel De Pizio double doing the damage on the day. Pecora clipped over the top. It's an interesting looking ball as well for Sambrook, who has seemingly switched flanks with Dry Rose since that brief break in play, while Angus Reid was getting some treatments. The Mariners wanted a corner. Final touch is adjudged to be off Logan Sambrook. Nothing to show for it at the end of it. James Hilton showing absolutely zero interest in playing out short from this goal kick as time ticks away in the first stanza. Daniel harassed and harried by Jai Rose, who, as we said, has switched flanks with Sambrook to this near touch line. It falls kindly for Jesic. Driving forward, drawing a very good save out of Adam Pavlecic. Second attempt draws an even better save from the Mariners gloveman, who receives plaudits from Angus Reid as well he might. That second effort was travelling at a rate of knots there. Pavlecic just about at his best to keep that one out. At the expense of a corner, however, it was Tyron Burney who drove that one, the second effort in. It's just is clipped in right on top of Pavlecic. He gets a couple of fists to it. It's a bit chaos ball inside the 6-yard box, though. Final touch off a Stallion head and behind. The Mariners can once again breathe a sigh of relief. Well, Tyron Burney surely thought for all money that he had doubled his side's advantage. It wasn't to be. As we said, new signing in from Blacktown this season. Jai Rose is just crowded out of it by a combination of Jesic and George Daniel. There's George Daniel with a couple of step overs there, and Prayag Tapper in absolutely no mood for that. Clunas looking to switch the point of attack out to the left. Just the 1 minute of time to be added on at the end of the first stanza here in Bosley Park. Marconi, we're not far away from heading to the sheds at 2-0 just moments ago. The Mariners will be happy. It's just a solitary goal. And in all fairness, it suggests that perhaps Marconi might be happy enough with 1-0 as well, as Costanzo stealing in behind Pecora. The ball somehow stayed in play as well. Costanzo attempting to lift it over Pavlecic, and that will be the final action of the first 45 here at the Palace. Marconi leading the Central Coast Mariners, courtesy of that George Daniel goal. Don't go anywhere, of course. 45 minutes of football to come. We're off to a short break here, however. We'll see you all very soon. Yes, a very, very warm welcome indeed back to Marconi Stadium, the Palace, as it is known oh so fondly, for the second stanza of this, the final match of round 11 of New South Wales men's NPL action. Marconi with the 1-goal advantage over the Central Coast Mariners, courtesy of former Mariner George Daniel in the 31st minute. Just about to get back underway here in Bosley Park, with the Mariners resuming hostilities for the second stanza. There's been a change at half-time as well for the Central Coast. We'll bring you news on that shortly. Jesse Mantell has entered the fray. Good strength on display there from Clunas as the Mariners look to try and work a way back into this one. Pecora swinging in the cross towards the back stick, and it's a good claim from James Hilton, who gets things on the move quickly. Bushek. Square to Bayliss, and across the back it goes for Windust. Here is the goal scorer, George Daniel. Costanzo. Looking for the back heel to try and find the underlapping run there of George Daniel. Straight into the legs of the Mariners defender. Confirmation on that change at half-time for Lucas Valela. My apologies, I'll get my words out eventually. Lucas Valela's side. Maginga and Pota withdrawn. Jesse Mantell enters the fray, which I think we will see a bit of a change in shape as a result. Logan Sambrook, who operated as a winger for the opening half, now looking like he'll lead the line. Clipped out wide to Bushek. Clip delivery towards the back stick, where George Daniel was arriving, trying to bustle his way through. Couldn't quite force the issue. Jai Rose able to clear. Yes, indeed, it does look like Logan Sambrook and Harper Riles now will lead the line. But it's Marconi on the attack. Might fall here for True. Instead, it's Daniel trying to bustle his way through once again. The Mariners living dangerously. The flag is up on the near touch line. A couple of Stallions lurking in an offside position. The Mariners can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief there. Marconi certainly had the better of the opening stanza. 10 shots, 4 on target for the Mariners. Just the 3 shots, 2 on target. One drawing a very good save out of James Hilton. Adam Pavlicic pulling out a couple of top-class saves of his own as well. Sambrook. Good sliding challenge again from, guess who, Cam Windust. Robust central defender. Mr. loves a tackle. Rose. First time strike from Rose as well. Just a sighter. Hilton confident that he had his angles correct and happy to watch that harmlessly sail across the face and behind for just a goal kick. Early signal of intent in this second half, though, perhaps from the Mariners. It's been such a well-managed, well-drilled performance so far, as we've come to expect from the Stallions, who look to make it 11 games unbeaten and perhaps looking to double their advantage here as well. Costanzo, again, tussling with Pecora, has support in the form of Brendan Vella. Now Daniel just helps it on to James Bayliss. Keeps it moving. Griffiths striding forwards. Finding support in a wide area in the form of Bernie. One touch to set himself, second touch to cross. Pavlicic gets a good-looking fist to it. Helped on by Sambrook towards Rose. Doesn't have the beating of George Daniel. He'll win the throw as well. Tyron Burney using the absolute full width of the pitch. Bayliss switching the points of attack to Marconi's left. Wonderful raking ball again from Bayliss. This is clipped in towards Marko Jesic and Mate Bulšek, neither of who wanted to go for it, and it might break kindly here for Sambrook. George Daniel gets there first to mop up. Oh, Marko Jesic and Mate Bulšek are continuing their tete-a-tete. He's always led from the front, of course. Marko Jesic, the Stallions captain. As we said, 20 goals last season, including one in that grand final victory over Rockdale. And he might get on the end of this one here as well. Yes, he does indeed. Captain, leader, legend. Marko Jesic notches his third for the season. And Marconi's second for the evening. And on the balance of things, it is absolutely no less than the Stallions deserve. A captain's knock from their number 10, Marko Jesic. Well, it didn't take long for the breakthrough in the second half to arrive. And it was such a cool finish as well from their captain. The Mariners with a mountain of work to do if they are to get absolutely anything out of this one. So far, all going to script for the home side tonight. And looking good, looking very good indeed to extend their advantage atop the table to 6 points. Jesic, oh, what a wonderful looking crossfield ball that is. Denied by the flag on this near touch line. Costanzo was lurking just behind the last line of the Mariners' defence. Rocco Smith, again, just forcing the pass somewhat. Windust absolutely telegraphing it. It's true. Advance is halted by Rocco Smith. Extremely youthful Mariners bench as well this evening for Lucas Villela, as we said, without a number of regular first-team options. Jordan Small makes his return to the first team. Again, continuing his recovery from injury. Mewitz. Rose. Sort of halfway between Sambrook and Riles, and Hilton takes control of the situation. Villela's been to his bench once already this evening at halftime, bringing on Jesse Mantell. Just offering a bit of a different dynamic out wide. In turn, allowing Logan Sambrook to offer a bit of a different dynamic up top, partnering Harper Riles. Ty McKibben also on the bench, as well as Finn Sadler. And Callum McCaskey is a very interesting one. He started the season in the under-16 setup and has very quickly graduated through the ranks to the 18s and the 20s, and now with a chance to make his debut in NPL first grade. Just 16 years old. He came through the junior ranks at the Mariners as well through the SAP program. Central Coast native as well, Holgate product. Highly rated, left-footed, ball-playing centre half. As Bernie tries to burn around the outside of Mantell and then in turn Mewett. Ben Mewett though gets the better of Tyron Burney. Jake True trying to force his way into the area. Halted once again by a sliding challenge from Mewett at the expense of another Marconi corner. Bayliss across to take the corner. One of the most naturally two-footed players I've ever come across is James Bayliss, and he's taking this one with his left foot. Swung in towards the near post, flicked on. Pavlicic pushes it clear. Half clear initially anyway, and the clearance eventually completed. Pavlicic making his feelings very apparent to his defenders indeed. Unhappy with the ease on which that near post header was allowed to fly through to him. It was a good reaction save. Not the first he's had to make either. Here's Bushek for Marconi. And there's Mewett for the Mariners. Across very quickly indeed. He certainly felt the final touch was off Mate Bushek. The lines person on this near touch line disagrees. Yet another Stallions corner. Again, it's Bayliss across to take. Thought he might opt perhaps for the outswinger with his right foot on that occasion, but no, he resets to look to swing this one in once again. Well, no, he doesn't. He's proved us all wrong. He's maybe looked like a fall. He goes short for Costanzo, who swings this one away. Knotted down at the back post. Half-hearted, well, more than half-hearted, not quite full-blooded. Appeals for a penalty. Hayden Langholz says nothing doing. Still they come, the Stallions. Swung in once again by Costanzo, rising at the back post. Well, there was a couple lurking with real dangerous intent. Marko Jesic was one of them. Just able to guide his header into the arms of Pavlicic, who claims that one gratefully. Well, it's just about all one-way traffic here at Marconi Stadium in the opening throes of the second half. Here's Jesic buzzing around everywhere. Bayliss. Windust, they look to play their way through this Mariners half press, and they do to great effect. Vela able to open up the pitch for Costanzo, who strides forwards. Has Rocco Smith for company. Smith does well to hold him up. Very well indeed. Showing experience and maturity beyond his years, and then showing his displeasure at the loose pass from Freddie Clunas. Smith perhaps feeling that there may have been a fast break on there for the Mariners. After all his hard work as well to halt the progress of Costanzo. Here they come again though, the Stallions. A very good sliding challenge that. This time it's Pecora. Had to get it right and did. Daniel back to Bayliss, who looks to open up the pitch now. Griffiths open up the pitch, they do indeed, with Bushek. Happy to just play keep ball here, the Stallions. They don't need to force the issue. They've got the 2-goal advantage. A fast start after half-time, courtesy of their captain. As the Mariners look to mount a rare foray forward. Cool as you like, Cam Windust and James Hilton. Bernie. Avenues in front were closed down by Jesse Mantell and Prayag Tupper, who was also coming across to cover the other passing lane. Across the back they will go. Launched forward by Daniel towards Jesic. Again, Rocco Smith remained tight enough to quell the danger. Pavlesic originally combining with Tapa, and now Reed. Here is Tapa. Struggling to break down this midfield bank of four. Mewett might provide the key to that. Square it goes, Clunas. Nearly had it trapped under his feet under the press of Bayliss. And again, it's the press of Bayliss who bundles Clunas off it and wins it fairly. Slide rule ball from Jesic, and True, this time adjudged offside, just going a fraction of a second early with his run. Well, it's not good reading if you're a Central Coast football fan in general. At half-time, Central Coast United were also down by 2-1, and here come the Stallions once again, looking to make it 3. They do with aplomb. He makes absolutely no mistake from there. Scything through the Mariners' defence once more. Leading from the front, as he always does. Goals number 3 and 4 for the season for their captain. And if the Mariners aren't careful, this one could get rather ugly. They show no signs of slowing down here, the Stallions. Moving at an absolute canter, galloping forwards at every opportunity. Again, it was Jesic racing forward to apply the press on Pavlesic there. As I said at the top of the broadcast, he might be 35 years old, but he's absolutely not slowing down. He would have loved that one even more as well, particularly with his previous affiliation with the Newcastle Jets in the A-League. Once again, the Stallions are absolutely adamant that should have been a penalty. Jake True feeling he was impeded. He's actually left the field of play in back play as well. They might have another opportunity. Again, the Stallions, it was lifted in towards the 6-yard box where Mate Bushek was waiting. Well, that would be all they need, the Mariners. They've had an ex-Mariner score against them and an ex-Newcastle Jet as well. And with some still 25 minutes plus any stoppages remaining here at Marconi, well, let's say this one has just about been put to bed. Pavlicic gets 2 fists to the corner. Only out as far as Bayliss, and oof, referee's taken a tumble. James Bayliss's pass to the wide area where Tom Costanzo was awaiting to receive was intercepted oh so neatly by Hayden Langholz, who's upended himself in the end there as well. Not sure he'll want that one for his highlight reels at the end of the season. On we go. Bernie back with Hilton. Daniel skips inside. The challenge of Clunas. And we might see another Mariners change coming here. Perhaps a double change, in fact. Jai Rose, it looks like he's taken his leave for the evening. Bring you confirmation on those changes. I think the other one might have been Freddie Clunas, but I'll come back to you in just a moment. Finn Sadler has entered the fray. Who's been operating well in the under-20 system for the Coasters, Finn Sadler. He takes his place up top alongside Harper Riles. Jordan Small returning to first team action as well, so I do suspect that will be Freddie Clunas who has taken his leave. Jordan Small will operate next to Prayag Tapper in the engine room there. Logan Sambrook will revert to the right-hand side of that midfield. Wonderful to see Jordan Small as well returning his, or continuing his return from injury. Meanwhile, Bernie burning around the outside of Mewett. Little layoff to the top of the box as well. No one able to really free their feet, and then Prayag Tapper is absolutely barged off the ball rather agriculturally through the back of Tapper there. Pavlicic hoisting it forward this time. Sambrook half giving chase, but nodded clear as far as Costanzo. Little slip from George Daniel though. He's turned it over via throw-in. Here is Jordan Small, twisting one way and the other. Good use of the body from Jordan Small. Little feint to create a couple of yards of space and pick out the pass for Mantell. Here he is again, opening up the pitch to great effect as well. Wonderful baller from Jordan Small, finding Pecora. This time, Pecora slips. Just a goal kick, which he's none too thrilled with. Feeling George Daniel may have turned it behind, and those two exchange a couple of words on the way through as well. Frustration perhaps creeping in a little bit, as one may expect. Fireworks going off behind us in the background here in Bosley Park as well. It's a bit early for that. Still 20 or so minutes to go until full time. Celebrating early. Flicks header by Jesic. Mewett and then Mantell mopping up. Carried forwards with confidence, panache by Rocco Smith. Mewitz links up with Mantell, skips inside, and then a clips ball forwards. It's an interesting option when you're dealing with someone who is as good in the air as Cam Windust is. Here's Tapa, looks to free his feet, finding a teammate as well. Pecora's the overlapping option, clipped in to the 6-yard box and straight into the arms of James Hilton, who plunges on that one. They're starting to ask a couple of questions here, the Mariners. They've almost certainly left it too late, but stranger things have happened in this league. Mantell slaloms inside once again, bundled off it. Referee plays the advantage as it landed kindly at the feet of Jordan Small. Forced to go back and reload once again. Mewitz and Mantell tangling with Bernie. Mantell with a fistful of Bernie's shirt as well. Again, it's that crossfield ball in the direction of Bernie. Nearly comes to him in the end. It's just too far ahead of Tyrone Bernie in the end. Well, we have seen a sneaky Marconi change as well amidst all the chaos. Jawad Rezai, the 15, has been introduced. Looks like in place of Mate Bushek, so it won't be the fairy tale script for the former Mariner tonight. Again, the Mariners look to go the aerial route. Too far ahead of Sandbrook on that occasion. Tapa steals in and finds Riles. Excellent strength on display from the 17-year-old as well. Moved on to Mewitz via Mantell. Here is Mantell again. Sized up the cross, but it's closed down around him oh so quickly. He'll have it back via Reed. Shifting back onto his right now. Small skips away from Rezai. Oh, that's clever from Mantell to link up with Mewitz. Takes it to the byline, pulls it back into the 6-yard box. There's just no one arriving for the Mariners. George Daniel, first on scene for the Stallions. The changes from Lucas Valela might have sparked something in the coast here. Jordan Small has been heavily involved. Here he is again, showing an excellent range of passing. It's a great combination to have in the middle of the park. Tapa and Jordan Small, of course. Particularly in the absence of Lawrence Taylor, suspended after his red card. His indiscretions against Sydney FC last week in the Mariners' 1-0 loss. And Kai Schumacher out injured this week. Of course, Lucas Shikluna called up for A-League duty. Here's Riles battling with Griffiths, who's done oh so well. In fairness, Lachlan Griffiths. Now Rezai back to Windust. And they can open up the field once again. Those fireworks going on behind us in the background here in Bosley Park, still firing away. Clips forward, looking for the run in behind on this near touch line of Jawad Rezai. Little ball inside as well to link up with Popovic, who is another introduction. Popovic introduced earlier in the half. I'd love to be able to tell you exactly when, but we didn't see the board go up. Looks like he's on in place of Jake True. Here is Rezai, shifting onto his left and back onto his right, twisting and turning and just about tying Jesse Mantell up in knots. And I'm sure you could probably hear through the effects mic exactly what he thought of that effort. Did well to create the space for himself there, Jawad Rezai. Just not the direction required on the shot. Well travelled, the right winger, Jawad Rezai, just 23 years old. He's spent a lot of time in the NPL WA setup with Perth and Balcatta and Floriat Athena before spending some time over in Germany in the lower tiers of the German league setup with Hambom. Foot race between Hilton and Riles. Well, that could have been interesting if Hilton didn't quite get that right. He did. And we've got a bit of a multi-ball situation on the pitch. Just back on Jawad Rezai. Of course, he arrived at Marconi just after Christmas, had off-season surgery, hence the delay in his arrival. But he's been getting consistent minutes. Also has one cap for the Afghanistan national team in a World Cup qualifier. I would dearly love to add to that, I'm sure. Mewett tried to clip one in behind for Riles. Pavlesic urging his team to increase the tempo, increase their urgency, increase their intensity. It's James Bayliss with the big up and under though, giving Jesic something to chase. Jesic wins a physical tussle between he and Pecora. Now it's hoisted into the area. Rocco Smith doesn't deal with it as cleanly as he may have liked. Laid off by Popovic. The strike at the end of it was from Bayliss. And Marconi are absolutely incensed at the late challenge there on their central midfielder. He can certainly hit them from there, can Bayliss, and well, it wasn't the prettiest looking challenge either. It was very late. James Bayliss is back up and about, which is great to see, of course. Prayag Tapa, who's had his own injury troubles as well, also back up to his feet, albeit very gingerly, and the Mariners will use the opportunity, as will Marconi, to go to their benches once again. Marconi with a double change, it looks like. That will be the final involvement for James Bayliss this evening. Liam Yulee on in place of the Stallions, number 8. Cam Windust doesn't quite get the purchase on that clearance. The other change, Brendan Vella off, Julian Monge on. Moving things around in the engine room are the Stallions, keeping fresh legs as they look to manage this one out for the final 12 or so minutes. Meanwhile, the Mariners trying to get something, anything out of this one. Jordan Small turning away from Rezai. Mantell. Small immediately harassed by Liam Yulee, and well, the pressure is effective enough, that's for sure. It's an uncharacteristic loose pass from Jordan Small into touch on this near touchline, which Tyrone Burney won't be in any real hurry to take. Well, he does indeed. Well, I'll take the opportunity to bring you some updates from elsewhere as well. At Illington Sports Centre, Rockdale leading the Wanderers by 6-1. Woloszewski adding his second and Rockdale's fifth. Brennan Chalakian adding Rockdale's sixth, and Simmons for the Wanderers. Nathan Barry has also been sent off for the Wanderers there as well, who will close this one out with just 10. Meanwhile, at St George, the 10-man Sydney United have gone ahead right on the stroke of half-time. Patrick Antelmi giving them a 3-2 lead there. Marconi looking to extend their advantage as Rezai twists and turns and tries to fashion an opening. It was pulled back to the edge of the box. Just no one arriving. That is prime James Bayliss territory. He has just been withdrawn, of course. Pecora again defending resolutely. He's had it all to do tonight against the absolute engine of George Daniel and the technician that is Dom Costanzo. This is hoisted in towards Popovic. Looking to switch the play, giving Tyron Burney a bit of a puzzle to figure out, and he does ever so well to keep it in the field of play, in all fairness. Mariners playing their way into trouble though. Rezai, well, just got it all wrong as he looked to measure the cross. Jordan Small then in turn dragged down as he looked to release the pass. Peter Sekenis will be happy to just manage this one out, of course. He's been able to use the opportunity to nearly just about empty his bench ahead of their Australia Cup tussle next week, as they play host to Prospect United on the 22nd. It looks for all certainty that they're going to go 11 games unbeaten in the league, 6 wins on the spin for the Stallions in their quest to go back-to-back. Not only go back-to-back, but also potentially do the double. Of course, they were champions last year. Premiers were Rockdale. Marconi on their early season form. Well, few would begrudge them. They said in the pre-season, nothing is impossible. Perhaps too early in the season to be dreaming up such fanciful ideas, but hey, Invincibles perhaps? Nothing is impossible. Rezai has found a little pocket of space here behind Reid. Yesic! Just dragged it. Looking for his hat-trick, of course. The Stallions' talisman. Didn't quite measure that one, though. Each side will go to the bench for the final time this evening. Alexander Gvozdenovic coming on for the Stallions in place of Lachlan Griffiths. That one a like-for-like change. Under 20s player of the season for Marconi last season. And he'll partner Cam Windust at the heart of defence. Rocco Smith takes his leave. Well, he's had his hands full and got through a mountain of work this evening for the Central Coast, repelling attack after attack. And it's an NPL first grade debut for Callum McCaskey. The Holgate local on the Central Coast. Started the season in the 16s. That is what the Central Coast are about. Opportunities for youngsters. We've seen so many of them come through the ranks over the years. Another debut in the books here. Mantell. Reed. Clips forward towards Riles. Windust is comfortable in dealing with that. George Daniel trying to twist and turn his way out of trouble. Clearance straight into the legs of Sambrook in the end. The Stallions once again galloping forward. Rezai couldn't quite reel it in though. Well dealt with by McCaskey. Now here's Mantell. Mewitt's gone on an underlapping foray forward. Instead, Mantell uses Riles, who's toiled well today, in all fairness to the 17-year-olds. Coming up against the likes of experienced defenders in Cam Windust and Lachlan Griffiths. It's no easy feat. Starting debut as well for Harper Riles. He's acquitted himself well. Of course, doesn't have a goal to show for it, however. Marconi, on the other hand, looking to really turn the screws here. Popovic stops and halts and eventually fizzes one towards the top corner of the box. The effort does come eventually. It's a fairly regulation take for Pavlesic at the end of it. And this isn't good for the Coast. Prayag Tapa has gone down on the edge of the area after that effort from Dom Costanzo. He's had a series of hamstring injuries over the last couple of seasons, has Prayag Tapa. Returning to first grade action today. Well, let's just hope, for the Mariners' sake, that it's just a touch of cramp. Lucas Villela is readying his final change in any case. Ty McKibben, by process of elimination, will be the one to enter the fray. We will see if Tupper is able to continue. He is, of course, required to leave the field of play, being that he did just receive some treatment. I dare say that might well be the final involvement for the evening for Prayag Tapa, as Ty McKibben, yes indeed, just takes his place in the centre of the park. Jordan Small, cool, calm and composed to find Mantell, finding McKibben in a roundabout sort of way. And well, that's an interesting sort of tussle. Mantell's having none of it. Rezai and newly introduced McKibben. Here is McKibben looking to just shift it on. Avenue was blocked off though. Costanzo in turn. McKibben blocks his progress forward. McKibben swings it in straight into the hands of the awaiting James Hilton. Bernie being forced back by Mantell. Sadler giving chase. Hilton Again, cool under a little bit of pressure. Yulee moves it on to Daniel. Still they come, the Stallions. Bursting into the area is Costanzo in towards the 6-yard box where Popovic was lurking with real dangerous intent. Angus Reid there in the nick of time. Perhaps one last set piece here for Marconi as we tick over the 90 minutes of regulation time. 4 minutes of time to be added on, as signalled by the fourth official. And in turn confirmed by the ground announcer as this corner is swung in towards the back stick. Nodded on by Monge and then fizzed over the crossbar from Marko Jesic, who is absolutely hammering on the door but can't quite burst it down for that hat-trick. Would be the icing on the cake for Marko Jesic. So much of his work does go unheralded, I feel, at times. Here's Ben Mewett in a foot race with Cam Windust. Those two must go to the same barber, I think. Cam Windust arriving first on scene, turning it into touch. Perhaps a late chance for a rare raid on the Stallions' goal. Well, not like that. Gvozdenovic moves it wide. Bernie, first time ball forward, giving Rezai something to chase. Utilising the full width once again. Rezai skipping around one and bursting into the area. Jawad Rezai blocked off in the end. And it was, well, Ben Mewett, who had raced back at a rate of knots to block the progress of Jawad Rezai. Remained down on his haunches for a moment after that as well. That's the kind of motor that Ben Mewett does have, though, of course. One last chance here, perhaps, for the Stallions. Well, left-footed efforts curling high and wide, posing no real threat on Adam Pavlesic's goal from Dom Costanzo. Pavlesic launching it forward. Gvozdenovic towering. Nods it forwards in towards Jesic. Little flick on as well. Pavlesic should get there and does. Decent looking release this from Pavlesic as well. Mansell. Again, it's Mewett, who just does not stop. Jawad Rezai winning the challenge and winning the throw-in on this near touchline as well. Mewett doesn't necessarily agree with it, but well, he doesn't really have to. Into the final 30 seconds of time added on here. That's Marconi Stadium. Nodded forward by McCaskey. Bernie, though. Little dink over the top. That's cute from Bernie. Now Rezai. Well, that is excellent defending from Callum McCaskey. Managed to get body position ahead of Rezai. At the expense of a corner, though. One last chance here, perhaps, for the Stallions. One last chance, perhaps, for Marko Jesic to net that elusive hat-trick. He's lurking on the edge of the 6-yard box. It will go over his head towards the back post. Half cleared, only to the edge of the area. Shots from Yulia is blocked, and that will be that here at Marconi Stadium. A thoroughly professional performance from the league leaders. They continue their unbeaten run. They extend it to 11 games, 6 wins on the spin for the 2024 champions. The Mariners will spend another week at least anchored to the foot of the table as they continue their search for that elusive second win of the season. The Mariners are back at home after their grand tour over the last 8 or 9 weeks being away. They will host Rockdale Illingdon next Sunday. As for Marconi, they've got Australia Cup action against Prospect on the 22nd before they return to NPL New South Wales action in the Derby d'Italia at Lambert Park on Sunday next weekend as well. It's been an absolute pleasure having your company this evening as we witnessed Marconi extend their advantage atop the table to 6 points courtesy of George Daniel and a brace to Marko Jesic. That's a wrap for round 11. Absolute pleasure having your company, as I said. But from me, it's see you all next time. It's bye for now.